Wow, these monthly tours seem to be coming thick and fast. So I'm Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel. And today we're going to take a look at Jennie's plot. And this is the plot we only got this year in April. And it was in quite a mess, but we've turned it around. I'm pretty pleased with how it's going so far. So I'll give you a quick look. So this is a quick overview of the plot. And it's definitely productive, so yeah, we'll start here. Well, actually we'll start with the lawn. So this was a nice little weed patch when we got it, and we gave it a level and planted some grass seed, and we had quite a trial actually, because the grass seed was planted just before 2 weeks of, or maybe 3 weeks of really bad winds. And so the grass seed blew into little pockets and it was really uneven and very weedy, but yeah, it's recovered okay. So here's the first failure. These peas, they never looked good, to be honest, when we first planted them, and they've never really grown into anything, so I'm probably going to pull these up today. I'll plant something new. But these winter beans behind are doing okay. They're planted late, but they're catching up. No beans on them yet. And these are the climbing French beans, and these equally are doing very nicely, although I do need to pinch the tops out. No beans on these yet either, although we've got plenty of French beans on my plot, so it's not really a big loss. I did plant some dwarf French beans down the centre of this row, and you can see they're starting to come up now, so that's pretty good. And the ones on the outside are also doing well, and they really need to have the tops pinched out. What a mess. Anyway, quite a lot. I'm pretty busy with these plots, so can't keep on top of everything. The courgettes are doing great. I just cannot believe that I cropped them only day before yesterday, and I took everything that was even remotely big, and it's just like we've just had so much rain, they've just grown absolutely massive. Just look at this one. I mean, I know you can get much bigger courgettes, but I mean, it's just insane. That has grown from nothing into that monster in 2 days. And the butternut squash, let's have a look. I haven't had a poke around in here for a while. Well, there's plenty on. Last year we had quite a lot rotted, and so I'm just kind of looking around for those, but there's some nice ones. Plenty of baby ones. I think I can see anything rotting at the moment, so that's all good news. And we've got a cucumber down here. We've got lots of cucumbers. I just had too many, so I squeezed one in here, and lo and behold, a cucumber. So that's pretty good. These beans went in much later, peas, sorry, and these are done much better. We had a good crop off those a couple of days ago, and it looks like we're going to have daily crops there, so that's good. So let's just have a look at this apple tree. It's just so ridiculously laden down. I should really have pulled some of these apples off, and I probably should do that now, but it's just getting around to it. I hesitate to say I gave this hedge a trim. It doesn't really look like it, does it? But anyway, this blackcurrant bush is dying of something, I'm not sure what, but to be honest I'm not really that bothered, because we've got so many blackcurrant bushes, and that space there is space for 2 trees, and I really want this to be a border for trees and not blackcurrants, so I'm not that worried. And of course we've also got this currant bush here, which is kind of growing into that tree, and it doesn't seem to have any currants on it, so I think that's definitely one to come out. And then down here we've got another tree, another apple tree, and some rhubarb. But again, I think that rhubarb could come out, so these trees could be nicely pruned back, and we probably get something else in the middle there as well where that rhubarb is, because we don't really need any more rhubarb. And then this tree, again, it's pretty laden. So what have we got here? Onions, basically. And I mean, these were obviously planted probably a month after everybody else on the plots planted theirs, but actually they're doing just fine. So a lot of this rush, you know, obviously being a newbie gardener, I don't really know anything about these timings, but there seems to be a mad rush to get your onions in the ground as early as possible, and then most of them seem to bolt, whereas these are just looking perfect. Give them another few weeks and I think, you know, they can be lifted for storage, and not one of them has bolted. So they were heat treated ones, but they were still really cheap, and I've got masses of them left. I don't know whether I could keep them until next year. You've probably noticed there are some red onions down the side. I mean, they were planted a month later, so I don't know whether they'll come to anything, but you never know. Whereas these red onions were planted about the same time as the white ones, and these are looking really nice. I've just finished putting the last nematode treatment down against onion fly, and a lot of people have lost probably a third of their crop to onion fly on the plots so far, so I'm trying to prevent that. I've got some more runner beans here, and again, more pinching out required. And then I've got some broad beans, and these are the second crop of broad beans that we've had. They're not doing bad. A lot of these broad beans have no beans at all in the pods. Maybe a third of them, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. Those were planted about a month before these. This seems to be the better crop, but who knows? Who knows why, rather. Good weeding really needed here. We just had, like everybody else probably, the big thunderstorms, and everything's looking a bit bashed around a bit. So here's the potato crop. Sapamira there, Charlotte here, and King Edward over there. And so far it's looking pretty good. This gap here is because we pulled one of the plants up as a trial, and the potatoes were superb. So to be honest, we could probably crop these Charlotte ones now, although, you know, I think the best place to store potatoes is in the ground, and I don't think there's any blight. There's a little bit of, you know, I don't actually know what blight looks like, to be honest, but you can see here, I'll just get in, there are some leaves that are yellowing and sort of dying on the tips, but I don't really know whether that's blight or not. I had that last year, and some people said, oh no, that's not blight, that's just dieback or something, so I'm not really sure. And there's also just like a pocket in the middle there, everything's kind of all collapsed, so I'm not sure what's going on there either. So then we've got the kale, and a lot of these tips here, look, you're getting little yellow bits on the tips. There's nothing, so I'm not really sure what that is, whether that is a fungus or whether that's some sort of insect. It's not a big issue, I just tend to pick them off like that, just pull them off, but I'm not really sure what's going on here. And of course these are old leaves, so they do need to be picked really, and I try and pick and give away and eat as much as possible, but as you can see there's a lot of kale here and it's hard to keep on top of it. So let's have a look at this sprouts and calettes. So this is the calettes, and I really love these. The leaves are fantastic, really nice to eat. And the broccoli, we've got so much broccoli at the moment. Broccoli everywhere. Of course some of it's going to flower and just you can't eat it, we've got too much of it. And we've got some sprouts down there as well, and we've got more of these calettes. It'll be interesting to see how these do. They seem to be all leaf at the moment and very little in the way of calettes, but I say the leaves are nice anyway, so that doesn't really matter. And there's some more broccoli here. Everywhere you look basically is broccoli. And we've got some autumn raspberries here, which I'm pleased I didn't pull up. I was tempted to do that, but they seem to be going pretty well. And I've got some, what are these called? No, that's not radicchio. It's just a label I must have used to show where I planted it. This is some sort of squash that's quite like butternut squash in terms of its taste, but one butternut squash does well in one sort of weather conditions, and this one does well in the opposite weather conditions. So basically if you grow both of them, one's a hedge against the other crop failing. Now these were planted only about a month ago, but looking pretty good and getting some flowers. So although everything's late on this plot, it doesn't seem to have mattered. Everything seems to be okay. And somebody gave me these tomatoes, I don't know where to put them, so I kind of put them up against these potatoes. Some of them have been lost in the potatoes, but they're actually looking fairly healthy, so we'll see how they go. Now I'm quite concerned about blight with these because they're planted so late. They're going to be in the ground for a very long time, and you can see over there, it's hard to see really because it's very difficult to access, but there's again some yellow leaves over there, a few down there as well. Anyway, so I've sprayed them with blight guard, which apparently is some organic preventative measure. You have to spray it every week, and it's a real pain. You have to spray it on the top and the bottom of the leaves, which is pretty much impossible to do and get full coverage. It's very difficult to get into the centre of these beds because I've obviously planted too many potatoes too close together, but I've done my best anyway. I really don't want to lose this crop to blight before it's ready, especially these King Edwards. Anyway, so that's that, and I think that's pretty much it really for Jennie's plot. As I say, I'm really pleased with how it's going so far, and it's nice to be cropping it at last. I mean, obviously been cropping mine since January the 1st, but here we've just started getting our first dwarf beans, and plenty of brassica leaves, plenty of potatoes now, plenty of broccoli. So it's and actually we've had quite a few raspberries, and although we haven't eaten them, one of our friends has been eating these globe artichokes, and they're going over a bit now, but well, definitely gone over now, but they enjoyed them while they lasted. Maybe there's one there which is still worth picking. So there we go. That is a quick overview of Jennie's plot.